How's it going, everybody? Today we're going to be looking at solving equations that contain integers. So another way to call this topic something else would be one-step equations. You may have done this before where you're getting all positive results. Since we've kind of took on integers, which is our negative numbers as well, we're going to be applying this. This is a very, very important, crucial lesson, as it really lays the groundwork for almost everything that you're going to see within pre-algebra and algebra. So if anything, this is something you definitely want to highlight. I may want to watch a couple times, and I'm going to go over some cool methods that I've used that seem to have been successful with my kids. And if you haven't watched adding, subtracting, multiplying, dividing integers, I would definitely do that before watching this video to kind of get you up to speed. All right, let's take a look at some one-step equations here. So what I always suggest is we're going to take our equal sign, right? And I would call what I call this is our river. So we want everything that's a variable, meaning a letter, on one side of the river, and anything that's a constant or a number on the other side of the river, all right? And this is going to be crucial when we start getting into two-step equations and eventually multi-step equations, okay? So we have this h over here on the left. We want to get that by itself. We want to isolate it. So we're going to do the inverse operation to get rid of this 15. So if it's showing subtraction, we're going to add to get rid of it. So that's out. Now, whatever we do to one side, we do to the other. And then this is where our rules come in from adding, subtracting, multiplying, and dividing integers. Well, we see that the signs are different. So if they're different, we're going to subtract. So 17 minus 15 is 2. And since the 17 is larger, our final answer is negative 2. And we could always go back and substitute and see that, yes, negative 2 minus negative 15 is negative 17. All right, for this one here, we'll draw a little river again. Now we see that the variable is on the right side, which is fine. We're going to add 20 to both sides, because once again, we want to do the inverse operation. It cancels out here on the right. We're going to add over here, all right? And because this 13 doesn't have a sign in front of it, we assume that it's positive. That confuses kids a lot. So the signs are the same. We add 33 equals G. And if we were to plug this in, 33 minus 20, yes, will give us 13. All right, we have our fourth problem here. So since we're eliminating using x as a multiplication symbol, anytime we have a variable and a constant next to each other, known as coefficients, it's showing multiplication, all right? So if that's the case, what we're going to do is divide by 15 to both sides. Notice that we're not changing it to a negative 15. It still stays positive. We're just doing the inverse operation, not the opposite sign, all right? So we're going to divide over here. Think back to our party hat rule from the multiplication and division integer video. 75 divided by 15 is 5. Since I have a positive and a negative, opposite signs is going to be a negative result. All right, and if I was to replace that, we could clearly see that 15 times negative 5 is negative 75. All right, these ones here are the ones that always gave me issues when I was a student. So if a letter is over a number or even vice versa, this bar here indicates that this is a division problem. So if that's the case, we want to do the opposite and multiply by the number that's paired up with the variable. So we're going to multiply by negative 5, right? Remember, not changing it to a positive. So we have k equals, well, 14 times 5 is 70. And remember the party hat rule? These cancel out, leaving us with a positive, so it's a positive 70. All right, now we're going to combine what we did from a previous lesson with where we were translating words into math, and then we're actually going to go ahead and solve this. So we have 8 less than a number is negative 13. 8 less than a number y is negative 13. So we know that less than means to subtract, but here's the thing. If you remember that video on translating words into math, less than is a time in which that we're going to switch the order. So we're actually going to have y minus 8. Is means equals, just like 2 plus 2 is 4, negative 13. So we're going to go ahead and solve, do the opposite operation. All right, so this cancels out. We left with y equals, well, the signs are different. When we subtract, it's negative 5 because this is the larger number. All right, the sum of negative 47 and a number d is 84. Sum is. All right, sum is associated with adding. Now, technically, if you remember our property rules, the commutative property says that it doesn't really matter which order it goes in, but let's put the variable first. Negative 47, we want to include that in parentheses so we're not confused, is 84. All right, so if we're going to add this here, all right, we can actually get rid of it. What we'll do is we're going to subtract 47 from both sides. All right. And then what we end up getting is 121. All right, so this one's a little confusing, and let me explain. You might have heard me stop there for a minute. So the sum of negative 47 and D is 84. So what we really should do is, let's rewrite this. All right. So this is a case where you actually probably should put this first. So negative 47 D is 84. So we are going to add, I actually wrote it wrong before, and you can see that we'll clearly get D equals 131. Sorry for the confusion there. All right, so that concludes our lesson on solving one-step equations. I do apologize for that little confusion at the end there with that one problem, but when you're translating words into math, it's always good to highlight your words that will translate to either an operation or an equal sign. In some cases, we'll get to inequalities, which will be later on. But please leave a comment if you were confused a bit. This is something that you definitely may want to watch a couple different times. So if you like what you're seeing here, make sure you subscribe. It'll help me out a lot. And as I said before, feel free to leave a comment.